Welcome back to Idiots Squared, where us two idiots try and discover what this is all about. Today on the agenda, we have flow state, what it is, how to get into it, and why it's beneficial. So stick with us. Hope you enjoy the episode. And Polska, you ready to get into it?
Fuck yeah, dude. Emotionally, I'm here. Not excited, but I just had a game of basketball, so I'm fucking spent, dude. And honestly, I haven't played basketball in a really long time. First time was last week, and then we played again this Sunday. And the last time I played was like fucking 15 years ago, honestly. But
nice.
Today, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I believe I achieved flow state while playing basketball today.
Okay.
So me and my stepson, we went to the basketball court. It's like mad close to our house. And because it's Sunday here, and it's a really nice park, mad people play over there. We decided, let's go over there. Let's see if anyone wants to play. And we played. So we played against these two black guys. And I don't know, we just took them to school, guy. It was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I'm like, yo, are these guys actually black? I was doubting if they were even black. You know what I mean? And then I remember I was like, oh, wait, well, I'm in Colombia, so it's Colombian black? Like, is that real black? I guess we'd have to have the black audience members let us know if Colombian black is like real black or not, because we schooled them, dude.
White boys won.
We were up, we only played to 12, right? And we were up 8-0, and I was fucking spent because that was the second game we played. The first game, it wasn't a 2-on-2, like, the second game was, so I was already spent, and I was like, "Yo, like I'm good to play like a game just at 12 because I'm fucked up." Yeah, they played like different points out here, but anyways, so we were up like 8-0, and I had to take a break, dude. And then they got 2, and then yeah, we just won. I was
Sealed the
fucking
deal.
giving it my all, and I was dead, but I was in the flow state, and I'm just like forgetting, you know, that I was tired, forgetting about the time, just like totally zoned in. I didn't know what the fuck was going on around me at all. And I just went for it, and fuck, I was mad excited that we won. This is the first time that me and my stepson have done something like this together. We won at something together. So it felt fucking incredible. So that's why, like, this just happened, like, I think like half an hour ago. We just finished. So I'm like, and I'm just mad fucking pumped up, excited. It's a really crazy feeling. But yeah, flow state, dude, is so fucking insane. The flow state.
I agree. It's harmonious. It's a beautiful place to be in.
Urban Dictionary definition is a mental state where a person is 100% immersed in the activity, while also their performance increases. And I agree with almost all of this. I don't think it's only activity. I think it's anything that you can do. But maybe I'm thinking of a different word, because there's another word that I use, the sense. So one of our friends coined the term. I'm going to have to give him a shout out. Lawson coined the term. The sense is like when you are doing, you know, anything. And, you know, it's exactly the same as the flow state. But the flow state definition is talking about an activity, whereas the sense can happen, you know, if you're working, if you're editing a video, for example, if you're researching, you know, or on an exam. I've had the sense in an exam before. I'm like, just, you know, you're just knowing all the answers and you can't believe it. And afterwards you're like, yo, what the fuck just happened? I just destroyed that exam, kind of thing. So I think flow state is all of that. It's not just an activity, but maybe the sense is the activity and the flow state is, or the sense is non-activity and flow state is activity, or both, or just both. Or maybe I'm thinking about changing the definition, guy.
Well, I think activity doesn't necessarily need to be sort of physically active in the sense that I think they're referring to it. It just is an act. You're doing something, right? And you're fully immersed in doing that one thing. And it is, it's when everything else goes away and there's only that thing in your mind. You're fully present in that moment doing that thing, or like, you know, and that to me is the beautiful thing. So yeah, it's sense or activity, whatever you want to use. I think it all comes around and says the same thing at the end of the day. But it's an amazing experience and it's an amazing feeling. So with the basketball, you mentioned this was your second game back. Was your performance much better today than it was the last time you played?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was way better. I was able to dribble without looking at the ball. Like the first time we went back, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like I had to look at the ball to fucking dribble it. And I was like, yo, this is insane, dude. Like 15 years break will fuck you up. I was never good, but I mean, I could dribble without looking at the fucking ball. That's for sure.
That is that is a mad telltale sign, right? Like you're exactly right. You're not consciously thinking like I need to dribble this ball. The dribbling is just happening, and you're free to be looking and seeing the court and doing all these other things. It is. It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, today I was able to look around and make judgments, make drives. I can't dunk though, but
God, practice.
One day.
100%. No, just set it as a goal. That's the way to get it. So quickly, what else do you get flow state doing?
Editing videos recently, because I've been doing that a lot. I mean, it doesn't seem like it because this channel is not really, I don't really put all of my effort to editing. Yeah, we don't really.
Well, this is a one take pod, guy. Like we sit down, we film it, we send it.
Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, I'm editing videos for my other channels in Spanish. Shout out Miss Bunny Nutrición, Miss Bunny House.
So you get flow state doing that?
Yeah, I just get in the zone sometimes and ideas just start popping into my head and my creativity just goes like out of control sometimes. And I just come up with all of these things suddenly. It's crazy. And the only reason why I'm able to do that is because I've been practicing editing for I would say 3 years now, which isn't very long, but I've always had a knack for it because in high school, I remember I edited a couple of videos and like it went really well. So I've always kind of had this idea. And like when I watch movies, I kind of look at like the thing, or other YouTube channels. So I feel like I got like good at editing really quickly and put in so much fucking time into doing it that the creative part started happening. And I could get into the flow state because now it's not like I need to watch videos online, how-to videos anymore, because I'm able to take what I've learned and create my own creative ideas. And it's crazy sometimes. I could go like literally 16 hours. And if someone doesn't feed me because my wife is feeding me, then I just wouldn't eat. Because I've been there, when I was in university, I used to study that way too. And I get in a flow state of studying, just boom, 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 boom. And then suddenly I would just like retaining all this information and nonstop sort of thing.
Does your perception of time disappear when you get into these states?
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything. I don't know if I've was born with this ability or I've cultivated it throughout my life, but I have a really good like ability to concentrate on something. Obviously it's easier if I'm passionate about something, but regardless, I'm able to really like concentrate on what I'm doing without distractions and really, really get into it where I don't even like see sometimes what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But that's what you need to do. That's one of the key ingredients. Is there anything else? Like, so besides, like you just mentioned, you've just rediscovered basketball helps you get into the flow state. Editing does. Are there any other things that you have had or you do you've discovered recently or you used to do that get you into flow state?
Just the studying part when I was in university and sometimes in exams as well. I would put a lot of time into studying. So I would notice it sometimes, not all the time, but it would sometimes happen in the exam. And that's an incredible feeling. You just know all of the answers. When I was a kid, I didn't really want to concentrate a lot into anything. I was always trying to do like the opposite. And I always knew I could do it if I wanted to, but I was very immature when I was a kid. So I don't really have like good memories of me actually like putting in effort in anything until I started university, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I was the same with that. Right. So what about sport wise? Did you have a sport growing up that you like found flow in or no? basketball a little bit?
No, not really. I was very timid when I was playing basketball in high school. So I was a bench player. I never really, I wasn't aggressive. I was afraid to be aggressive. And so I was like, yeah, I was just like a timid player. So I was never, you know, I think it was just like a confidence thing when I was in high school. So I never really experienced flow state in that sense. Maybe playing with my friends a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, skiing. Sorry, skiing. I did. So I've been skiing since I was, I think, 2.5 or 3. My dad put me in skiing right away, so I've been skiing my entire life. So I can get flow state in that. But with skiing, you have to be super, super, super concentrated because I've had some bad accidents, and luckily nothing, you know, I'm here, right? But
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of people die. A lot of people die skiing the way that I skied. You know what I mean? So like I would like whatever. I would do
Crazy.
fucking anything. Yeah, just anything. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but it's hard to say. Like skiing puts you in this state of mind where it's so exhilarating. So are you forced into the flow state, you think? Or are you able to activate it because you become comfortable at that level of risk which you're taking, if you know what I mean?
I do. So I reckon we can get to that in a minute. So I'll just quickly run you through, right? So for me personally, I I've experienced flow state for most sports, right? Except for lawn bowls. That was the only one I haven't had flow state in.
What was it?
But like most sports, hey,
What was the one you mentioned? I didn't understand.
lawn bowls.
Lawn balls. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
boring.
I don't know what that
It's
is.
like an old person sport, guy. It's like you roll balls on a lawn.
Is it bocce ball?
No, it's similar. It's like curling, but on grass.
All right. Sorry to
It's
interrupt, guy.
no, it's
Yeah, I
okay.
understand.
So for me, it was most sports. It was creating certain things. Like I used to love like making things, like making inventions and like building building stuff. I would get into the flow state doing that. And then not so much the studying. I was actually a terrible studier. Like I just didn't like studying. And so it was never really much for me there. But recently, what I've trained myself to do these things. I crave flow state. And the reason I crave it is because I found that by getting into flow state systematically throughout the week, I'm able to increase my ability to do things related to business, my life, and essentially just handle complexity and handle volatility. And I find that it helps me to deal with those things. Like it remodels my brain in a way that just makes everything else easier. Now, and recently, the way that I've been getting flow state is motorbike riding. So enduro, hard enduro, and adventure riding. So in the bush, and typically it's fast or really hard, right? The gym, I also get into the flow state at the gym. So training for me is a form of getting into the flow state. And now, which is weird because it never used to be a thing, but studying or learning. So like Brilliant is like an app that you can use to learn different things. And if I start doing that and I don't have like heaps of other things to do, I could get lost in Brilliant for like a few hours and I'll forget to eat. I'll forget to do things. And then on top of that, like coding or, pursuing passions with projects, like making little things for myself or other bigger projects or business related stuff, I can get into flow state doing that as well. So it's that same interest and focus, but it's a different kind of flow state to the physical activity or the predominantly physically active side of it with the motorbike riding. And the reason I wanted to bring this up now is you mentioned with the skiing about the danger and the risk. And that's the thing with the motorbike riding that really helps me to lock into a certain type of flow state. And I call it controlled chaos. And it's right on the edge of your limits. And then you switch into that flow state and it just becomes harmonious. You are one with the bike, like you would be one with the skis. And you're not thinking about anything. It's just happening. You are one with the environment. You're one with your bike, your tool, whatever you're on. and you are just immersed in this, fully present. There is nothing else in your mind. Nothing else is happening. You're not even aware of time or anything else. And it is just one of the most beautiful experiences. But I do require it to be that controlled chaos, that edge of my limits, if that makes sense. Does that kind of relate with the skiing?
Absolutely. That story gave me shivers, actually, when you were saying that. Yo, what's the flow state for you like when you're in the gym, though? Because that's interesting.
So flow state for me in the gym is I have a sole focus, which is I'm here to do the work, right? And so depending on the training day will depend if I get into that flow state or if I don't. So typically the flow state will happen if I'm like maxing or I'm testing something or I'm challenging myself or trying to beat a personal best that I've already had. And then everything about that session is dedicated to that goal. So if it's just like picking up, like, so we just say squats, right? So the other day I maxed out on squats and I haven't squatted for haven't been squatting consistently. So the last 8 weeks I've started squatting again. And I decided like, okay, let's start small and build up to where we can retest a max. Okay. So I went for like a new, like a 3-rep max, right? So working my way up, and that whole session was devoted to working up to that 3-rep max. And in that session, I achieved flow state because I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just fully present in that moment, doing what I needed to do to retest that max. And it's different to the motorbike, but it is a flow state, right? Everything else goes. I'm in the zone. I can either have music on. I can do, I can, whatever is helping me to achieve that state. And then I'm fully present in that. But it isn't the same as the motorbike riding. It's a little bit different, but I definitely find that for me. And I find that the gym is like a combination of flow state and meditation for me, in a sense. What about you? Or you got any questions?
Have you ever had like a nice steroid-induced flow state? Because I find those are like the best ones, guy.
A steroid-induced flow state? What do you mean?
I remember when I used to juice, like when I was doing a lot of juice, sometimes I would just start hammering the weights and I couldn't stop. And I'd be looking at myself in the mirror and I would just be like, just going ape shit. I've had people like, come like say something to me because I was in the zone. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't remember what they said, but because I was in a flow state, but like, I'm just looking at myself in the mirror going like, going mad hard as fuck. And I just can't stop. And if a good song's on, like I feel like I'm going to blow the fucking gym up, guy. Like I get so lost in it that sometimes I'm like imagining myself as King Kong, but I'm in the middle of a volcano or something, and I'm working out so hard that I'm making the volcano erupt around me. Just fucking shit up, like just like insane, stupid shit. But you just get like, I would just get lost in it. And I remember feeling like, yeah, just incredible. So steroid-induced flow state.
I don't know if it's a steroid-induced flow state. I feel like that's just it might be an enhanced, right? So PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. I feel like you just might have enhanced your ability to get a flow state, for sure. So look, I've had a similar stuff, but I don't think it would be PED related. Like I feel like the PEDs might have enhanced that experience slightly, but I get that in the gym. Like that's what I love about the gym, is that it's like a safe space to be aggressive, to like, I don't know, like just fuck it, let it out. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
It's my safe space. It's like, this is what I love about, like, I love this so much. I made my own gym so I could have a place to do this. Like, there's something incredibly satisfying and relieving within me, and I know it's with other men as well, and women too, other people, to just be raw and like fuck some weights up, like throw some shit around, like dominate some iron, like I
literally like pick up some weight, put it down, and then pick it up again. Throw
that sucker. Like, don't even put it down, just throw it down. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just dominate some shit. So
even grunting is dope. Like sometimes I grunt and make noises, and it gets me even more in the zone.
At the gym or just out in public?
Yeah, both guy. Fucking grunting all the time. Motherfucker, ow, motherfucker.
Yeah, fuck yeah. You Polska's putting his socks on in the morning. Yeah, buddy. Just yelling at himself.
Oh my God, Ronnie Coleman. Like he's made like a culture, dude. He made this culture in this gym, right? Everybody knows, yeah, buddy. Everybody.
Anyone that lifts knows, yeah, buddy, bro. So just back to that whole thing, right? So what I've experienced in most gyms is that you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff. Like you're not allowed to be loud. You're not allowed, and I'm not talking about like excessively loud, like you're in there screaming deliberately kind of thing, but creating a vibe within yourself, because that is a bit of a flow state, right? Like I feel like that's a flow state. Okay. So, I lifted heavy weights. I wanted to push the limits. I wanted to be competitive in all of these things. And so you have to have the right environment. And so I'm like, it's stupid not to be able to drop weights. It's stupid to have to worry about chalk. It's stupid to have to worry about noise. It's stupid to have to worry about all these other things. So let's just create a place where you can just do all of that and just be rogue as, like, and just have fun. And like, I love that. Like, I used to love that so much that I would train for like 2 or 2.5 hours at a time because of how much fun it was. And there's something incredibly satisfying about being able to, like, hoik some serious solid weight, throw it around, drop it, be rough with it, like manhandle it. Or if you're a woman handle it. Or if you're a they, them handle it. I don't know. But like, just have fun with it. There's something incredibly primal and satisfying about that. Like the way I explain it to other people is like, it would satisfy my bone marrow or my DNA. Like it would just, and then it helped me to release, not that I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not angry. I'm not any of those things, but it would help me to become a better person. I would have that outlet. I would have that aggressive outlet that would just enhance the rest of my life and my relationships with everybody else. It's a beautiful thing, and build confidence within yourself. Like, to prove that you can do stuff that's incredibly hard, turn up day in, day out, and get better and better and better, builds confidence like, like very few other things. I think you're on mute, guy.
I think I broke my touchpad on my laptop. Like, it's not working anymore. Yeah, it's fucking stuck for some reason.
Well, you might have some food in there, guy.
Maybe, guy. Maybe yeah. That's true. That's true. So what did you have about flow state? You mentioned that you had something after. I think you wanted to explain your personal take on it.
Oh, okay. So there's a guy, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He's got a very difficult name to say. Okay. But he's written some really good books on flow state. I have one of them that I loved.
Sounds like a Japanese name.
I think he's like Czech or Eastern European.
Oh, I'm way off, guy. Oh my God.
Okay. It could have been because of my pronunciation. His name, if it's like you say it phonetically, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Yeah. So I just butchered that. Make fun of me in the comments. Anyway, his book is called Flow: Living at the Peak of Your Abilities. Wonderful book. Really, really, really good book. So just like, I have a couple of key points about it, right? So, flow state, also known as flow, is a concept in positive psychology that refers to a mental state in which an individual is fully immersed in a task or activity, experiencing a heightened sense of focus and enjoyment in the process. The concept has been popularized extensively and studied by the Hungarian-American psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, or Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Just make fun of me for this. It's terrible. In a flow state, people often lose track of time and their surrounding environment, being completely absorbed in the task at hand. This state is often linked to high performance and satisfaction in a wide range of activities, including work, sports, arts, and learning. According to Csikszentmihalyi, several conditions are usually present for a flow state to occur. challenge, skill, balance. The task at hand must strike a balance between its difficulty level and the individual's skill set. It must be challenging enough to prevent boredom, but not so challenging that it induces anxiety. So that's like that controlled chaos that I was talking about before. Clear goals. The goals of the task should be clear, giving the individual a sense of purpose or direction. For me, when it's motorbike riding, it's, to get to this place or get there as fast as you can or make it up this hard thing. In the gym, it was like, I'm maxing out, or I've got to improve this lift, or I've got to get this many reps, or, that kind of stuff. The immediate feedback. Real-time feedback on performance allows for adjustments and continuous improvement, right? So you've got to be doing the thing. You've got to be immersed in it. Focused concentration. You mentioned this with your study. Deep, uninterrupted focus on the task is essential. Sense of control. While in the flow state, individuals often feel a strong sense of control over their actions and the outcome. Loss of self-consciousness. People in a flow state often lose awareness of themselves and separate from the activities they are performing. So essentially, you are becoming one with the activity. You and the skis are one. You and the books or the knowledge are one. That kind of thing. Transformation of time. Perception of time can be altered, with time often appearing to pass faster. And then the last one is autotelic experience. The activity is intrinsically rewarding, meaning the individual is performing the task for its own sake rather than an external reward, right? So in the gym example, it's like, yeah, you're trying to get this max, but you're just doing it because you love doing the process, right? And like maybe that was you in the mirror, like when you just kept throwing more weights, you were so lost. It was intrinsically rewarding to just keep doing that tough shit, So it just sums up. This guy's had a lot of impact on like professional athletes and psychology and a whole bunch of other stuff. But his work has showed that it rewires your brain. So getting into flow state is incredibly neuroplastic. Like it helps to remodel your brain and the connections within your brain. And for me, the more I've sought after getting flow state, like I make sure I get flow state at least 3 or 4 times a week. Right. And a great week for me is like 5 times. And so since doing this and making it part of my routine, my entire life has changed, right? My ability to learn things, my ability to do things, my enjoyment of life and the little things has just increased immensely. But it isn't easy. Like it's hard. Like, for me to get flow state in motorbike riding, that's like 4 or 5 hours, right? And it's a huge physical activity. Like it's a lot of energy to expend. It's a lot of work to get the bike ready, to travel, to do this, to do that, to then come home, clean it all up, wash your stuff, eat and repair and all that. But it is so damn worth it. Like it is just fucking amazing. That's all I want to say. Fucking amazing.
Harnessing the flow state, bro. Harnessing the fucking flow state. That is fucking beautiful, dude. And you're blowing me away right now because I agree with you. I thought I was going to be the one to mention that during the pod today. So when I heard you say it, I agree because before I thought that the flow state is not something you could harness. It just comes once in a while, right? Like okay. you could be doing the activity or the task and you're unable to harness the sense or the flow state. Sorry, the flow. Should we just call it the flow? Because the Czech guy or the Hungarian guy. Okay. So
either way.
Yeah. I was talking to our friend about this, and we came to the conclusion that the flow sometimes just comes to you. But since we decided to do this pod, I really started thinking about it personally, and I was like, yo, wait a second. This shit can be harnessed, dude. I think it's possible. And I think that you can pass it on to others as well in group settings if you are open to it. There's a barrier though, and the barrier is sometimes a confidence thing, or it could be a envy thing. Because let's just use the basketball game, for example. If you're playing on the same team with somebody and someone's doing good, and you have the barrier of like, yo, they're doing good, like I can't, or they're doing good, like why can't I be doing good? Or so, along those lines, it can prevent you from getting to the flow state. But if you really let your heart be like, yo, wow, like, yo, he's playing so fucking good, it can also make you get into the flow state too and start ripping shit. I believe that.
Yeah. So I agree with you. And it is definitely to do with comparable skill levels, right? Like if you are participating with a group of people who are vastly better skilled at whatever it is activity you're doing, it might be hard to get into the flow state. If you're on a similar level to them, it might be it's probably going to be easier to get into that flow state. But I don't think it's exclusive. Like I think that there are times when you can have someone who isn't at the same skill level as everybody else who could also get into a flow state, right? But I think that it does help if you are at similar skill levels. I have an example of this with motorbike riding. So some of my mates that I ride with, one in particular, him and I are able to get into that flow state and sort of, we can ride almost side by side on very tight trails. And we know exactly what the other person is doing and going to be doing. And we're at the limit of our, almost at the limit of our abilities, but we don't have to ever think or worry that they're going to do something dangerous or crazy or crash into us or anything else. Like we are in unison, so to speak. And we're not talking, we're not looking at each, we're not doing anything. It's just, right? And you're not even thinking about it. And that is a beautiful thing. And that's one of my favorite things about enduro and adventure riding is that you can go and do this for hours on end at a time. And it just is, it's a beautiful experience. But yeah, you can share it and you can help others to get into that flow state. I think you have to have a level of confidence too and an ability.
I've had that with my brother skiing actually, because he grew up skiing as well. So we did a lot of skiing together and side by side, just tearing it up. And you're right. There's this higher state of consciousness where we become sort of connected. It's so insane, but it's real. You've experienced it motorbiking. I've experienced it skiing. And I guess we're sharing this sort of higher state of flow consciousness.
Yeah, so it's kind of like an entanglement, right? Like you are entangled with that other person. So everything that they do has an effect on you and everything you do has an effect on them without even really knowing it, right? It's that spooky action at a distance kind of thing, quantum mechanics kind of stuff. But you are entangled for that moment and you're sort of functioning as one does one. It directly affects what the other does and you just work in unison. But you have to get into that flow state to be able to be that entangled. And I think that's what the flow state is. It's an intertwinement or an entanglement with the task at hand that you're doing. And it is with that other person. It is but yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I agree with you. You can cultivate flow states. You can harness that flow state. You can specifically curate, and you can take the work that Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi has done to understand what sort of boxes need to be ticked to get into this flow state. And I think one of them, and you mentioned this with your study, is that and I mentioned this with the gym and motorbike riding, you have to have the right environment. You have to be in the right environment. It's very, very hard to get flow state if you don't have the right environment. For me with study and for learning, a big thing is headphones, just putting them on, not having anything play, but just cutting out the sensory input from my environment, the auditory sensory input from my environment really helps me to get in that mindset or that environment to get into a flow state for studying.
Do you think then the float tanks, because they shut off all your sensories, you're able to get in a flow state of into your mind, sort of say?
Yeah, that's actually interesting. I actually teach a class twice a week called Flow about mobility and breath work and learning to utilize your breath to help you go through ranges of motion And then we do specific breath work to relax. And the reason I called it flow is because for me, it is a flow state doing that set of things, right? But it's weird. I've called it flow, but I never really linked those two together. But I suppose you're right. I think that possibly sensory deprivation does help you, or is what allows you to get into a flow state within yourself. A flow state exploring your own subconscious or consciousness. That's pretty cool.
There's another way to do it, apparently. Yeah, I reckon it does too. There's another way to do it with ping pong balls and a red light, apparently, or like a flashing light. You have to cut the ping pong balls or something and you put them over your eyes. And you have a red flashing light or another flashing light. I don't remember exactly what it is. People would have to go research it. Have you heard about this before? It's not as good as the float tank, but it can get you some of the results a float tank can get you.
When you said ping pong balls, I was like, is this a Thailand story? It's like, where is he going with this? What?
People in Thailand, like the guy selling it, they're like, that's what they do. That's how they sell the ping pong show to people. They just walk around going, they look at you and they do like that head nod and go, oh, sorry, like that.
People are just like, hell yeah, brother, sign me up.
Ping pong show? Yeah, fucking right. Oh my God.
No, I haven't heard of that. I would just imagine that, okay, so part of a float tank is the amount of magnesium that's dissolved in the water. Right, you actually end up floating on the surface of the water, and that takes away, like your body is essentially weightless, right? So that's a very different feeling from the tradition, the normal feeling of having gravity continuously sort of pushing on you. Gravity's still pushing on you, but you're essentially weightless. Plus, all of the magnesium and whatever else is dissolved into that water, those electrolytes, those minerals. Are creating an electrical chemical sort of field that your body is engaging with. I imagine that helps. The darkness and the lack of noise and all of those other things is taking away all of that sensory input. So I feel like you can replicate that minus the floating just by putting an eye mask and some headphones on, or being in a really quiet room or a really dark room. I think I do this every single night, to be honest. Like most nights I'll have a bath and it'll typically have like magnesium or Epsom salts in there with some sodium as well, some just regular salt, maybe some essential oils if I'm feeling a little bit special. But nice hot bath, right? And I'll sit in there. And I'll often just meditate or listen to a book or a podcast. Then I get out, and when I go to bed, I put an eye mask on, and I have like earmuffs essentially that I put on as well. And I have my room pitch black, and I'll lie there, and I'll essentially do what I do in a float tank, which is just be present in my own mind, in my own thoughts. And if I want to have certain types of dreams, I'll deliberately think of things that I want to dream about or problems that I want to solve, and I'll start to load that into my mind. And then when I go to sleep, there's a higher probability that I'll have dreams like that. And I consider that to be a flow state as well.
That's super interesting. I think we're getting onto something. Getting onto something? Going onto something?
I feel like you probably say coming onto things a little bit too much, Guy. Do you remember when that ghost came inside you?
Yeah. I remember that. I know that's your favorite. That's your favorite Idiot Squared moment. I'm gonna have to.
That is my favorite for sure. Yo, come inside me. Come inside me. It's like, I think we're on to something. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
That's it. Yeah.
Or if we want to have clips.
No, Guy, my English is getting terrible. This podcast is actually helping me improve my English, so it's good, Guy. Getting in the flow state of speaking English.
Good. But yeah, I think that's an interesting thing you mentioned. Do you have like a flow state sort of experience at nighttime? Do you have like a routine or anything like that?
No, I don't actually have a routine at all. I just usually work until a certain time and then I just go to bed. That's it. I don't really do anything to prepare for bed, but I generally sleep really well, actually. I'm usually very calm and I don't have like too many things running through my mind. I did before, but I learned to sort of, just shut it off eventually, especially because a lot of the work that I'm doing is sort of, it's not super repetitive, but I don't know. You just get used to shit after a while, I think. And I've just gone to the point where I'm sleeping really good right now. But I would like to improve my sleep for sure. I'm not feeling all of the suggestions, or not suggestions, but just the things that you do. I take them as suggestions personally, just because I'm trying to
No.
better
So
everything that I do.
yeah, I look, I'm the same. And so I try to listen to other people or people who are able to do things that I'm not able to do or have things that I would like, like outcomes that I'd like to have, etc. So one big thing, and I think this really ties into flow state, and I think it ties into meditation too, because I think meditation can be a form of flow, but it's different. Like, I think it's more of like a passive versus there's very active flow states, which is where you're physically active as well. So the breathing is the thing that really helped me in the evenings get into a bit of a flow state with myself and lose sort of track of time in the thing, and then essentially just fall asleep. But learning how to control your state through breath is such a powerful tool. All right. So at nighttime, when you're trying to wind down, ideally what you're trying to do is just gradually lengthen your exhales. So if you do longer exhales, your body will relax. If you do shorter exhales and bigger and longer inhales, you'll start to energize, right? So more oxygen in, more energy, right? Slowly releasing that carbon dioxide out of the lungs, or after it's been utilized, the more you sort of relax. So long exhales equals relaxing, shorter exhales, longer inhales equals amping up or energizing. So like just lying in bed and just practicing your breath work, to me, I can get into a flow state just doing that breath. But I think that, and this is what I found teaching the class, initially, some people really struggle to just sit, be present with themselves and focus on their breath for more than like 20 seconds. But with a bit of practice, they get very good at it. And what I've had reported to me is that it's probably one of the most powerful skills you can develop as a person or as a human.
That might be a really good entrance point for people who have difficulty with flow state, or maybe anyone listening who hasn't experienced a lot of flow state and trying to sort of improve on that or attempt to one day harness it. Maybe that's like a good entry point to do sort of, those breath exercises which you're talking about. So
yeah, so you mentioned a good thing about people trying to enter into flow state. One thing that I think inhibits, like self-consciousness is definitely a thing. Like if you're self-conscious, it's very hard to get into a flow state. So that's why developing your skills to a certain level where you no longer are self-conscious, or that you're so lost in the skill that you can't be self-conscious because you're just so present in what you're doing, is very important. And I think that might be why flow state may not be as common for some people, because maybe they haven't developed those skills sufficiently or to the level that they would like to have them, or to the level that they would need to get into a flow state, right? Like, I don't want to rip on, obese people, but I feel like it'd be very hard for an obese person to get into a flow state playing basketball or, doing certain activities. I think that because their physical ability is limiting them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think probably activity is another barrier. If you're not, an active person, or you're not, at least motivated to do something, maybe a hobby. If you don't really have those things, if you just work, go home and watch TV, there aren't any opportunities to experience flow state unless you have you're passionate about your job. But if you're not passionate about your job and you are overweight and you're home and you watch TV, maybe going to the gym would be a very good first step. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. The other thing about it, I think that is important to note with flow state is it has to be sufficiently challenging, right? Like you can't just do something at a level that's not challenging because you get bored. So you can't get into the flow state. It has to be sufficiently challenging to keep you interested, but not too challenging that you can't do it, so to speak. It sort of has to be this beautiful little, this beautiful range right towards the top. And
I remember.
sometimes, you go.
Sorry, guy. No, go ahead. I thought you were finished what you were saying.
Well, what I was going to say is I can't remember where I read this, but apparently it was like, it's like plus or minus 4% of your ability, or plus or minus 7% of your ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Like, so say your ability, you know, like this is, you're 100%, but like plus or minus 4 from your max is where you achieve flow state. And when you're really in flow state, you can be performing at like above what you would normally be able to perform, so to speak. But I think it's like 4 or 7 is the cutoff.
Okay,
but I found that for myself, right? So just as a quick anecdote, with motorbike riding, I only started riding again. Like I rode a little bit when I was younger as a kid, but I only started riding like 3.5 years ago, and I sucked. Like I was so trash. Like there was no flow state for me for like the first year and a half. Okay. Like I was just pure hurt. Like everything was hard. I would just be beat up. I'd be tired and sore. Okay. So I specifically rode with people who were just a bit better than me. Right. Like, and I was lucky that I had people that were a lot better than me that decided to like step themselves down for a moment to help, level me up. And then I kept challenging myself, continuously riding with people who were better and more skillful and trying to learn. And by doing so, it sort of lifted me up to their standard. And I would achieve flow state very regularly once I got the base skills down, because I was trying to ride with them, right? But because I'm with them, I became entangled, and I was sort of leveraging off their abilities and the fact that they're in a flow, and I was sort of latching onto that. And I think that is a huge part of being able to get good at something very quickly. And I think you mentioned a similar thing with video editing, but I don't know if you connected the dots, where you would actually watch tutorials and videos and all this other stuff of people who could do the thing that you wanted to do that you couldn't currently do. And then you'd go through that and sort of get yourself into a flow, or then be able to take that and get yourself into a flow because you observed and learnt from someone or people who are better than you, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I've had many experiences where people who are a lot better than me get me into the flow state, because for some reason, I remember playing intramural soccer in university, and I would play better with better players. But if I played with like shitty players, I couldn't play like I did with the good players. For some reason, playing with them, like I'm like, holy shit, I had to really step it up. And I felt like I was playing like a really good game just because I was playing with people so much better than me, and they got me into this sort of flow state to activate.
Definitely. But it's interesting because there is a cutoff. Like it can't be too great. Do you know what I mean? Like they can't be like just orders of magnitude better. There's a sort of range, I think. I feel like that's, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember feeling an intense flow state at festivals, especially pop a couple of mollies, and, you're seeing a DJ that everybody's mad into, and the whole crowd starts, you go to like a dubstep show, check out Excision or Virtual Riot, Barely Alive, and everyone just starts headbanging together at the same time. Or in a mosh pit. For some reason, Excision shows always have mosh pits. And when you get into a mosh pit flow state, that on Molly, that is next fucking level, dude. That's some intense feelings, bro. I'll never forget.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And so you mentioned that kind of aspect. Also, microdosing can help with this because of the upregulation in brain plasticity, right? Like you're essentially creating an environment for that brain to be even more plastic. On top of that, the flow state is helping with that plasticity, and so it's very, very useful for remodeling your brain, essentially. So like, I've utilized microdosing with learning, with motorbike riding, and like from my personal experience, it has been a huge enhancement. It's helped me to develop and enjoy and learn and become a much better rider in a very short period of time. That has allowed me to like really and truly thoroughly enjoy and love doing those things. Like even for me learning, like I mentioned Brilliant at the beginning just quickly, but like the other day I got lost on Brilliant doing a course on machine learning and algorithms. And it was like 3.5 hours and I finished like all of the courses that I was looking to do. And I looked at the time and I was like, what the fuck? What? Where's my day gone? Like, how was I doing that for that long? I just completely got lost in it. And again, it's because like it was a beautiful harmony between my ability and the thing I was learning was just outside of my ability. If that kind of, but because of the way Brilliant's structured, it helps to walk you through. And so you're just progressively increasing. And as you're learning, it's increasing too. So it keeps challenging you. And I find like that's really helpful with the flow state too. That progressive, like as because you're getting that real-time feedback, right? You're sort of learning, but as you're learning, it doesn't stay constant at how hard it is. It keeps getting that little bit more difficult. And that sort of drags you into the flow state, if that kind of makes sense.
That does make sense. I was just thinking that maybe playing video games can be another way people can sort of enter the realm of flow states.
Big time. I think that would definitely be a big thing, especially with the difficulty stuff and the challenge and the immersion and everything else. It definitely is a big flow state vibe. I think it's really important though, to not become asymmetrical with these things. So I think the video game stuff is very cognitive, right? But you want to not just have a cognitive flow state that you get into, you want to have a physical and cognitive flow state that you get into as well. And yeah, I know you're using your fingers and whatever else on the games, but it's not a whole body physical exertion, right? So I think like finding a balance between two, like the heavy cognitive and then the sort of more heavy physical, and then having those two as a balance point, I think that to me, like that's what's really made the biggest difference for me. Because when I was younger, it used to be just mainly physical. I never had the cognitive. And then in my latter years, I've started to develop that cognitive, and that's when things have really taken off.
Bro, it sounds like if you want to harness the flow state, you have to do multiple facets of flow state activities or mental tasks. So let's say one could be video games, right? One could be playing basketball. One could be editing videos. One could be maybe playing a musical instrument. Other one could be motorbiking. And if you have these hobbies that sort of stimulate you in different ways and you're able to achieve flow state in each one, you become better at harnessing flow state over time because you've been exposed to flow state in all these different scenarios, and probably to the point where you can utilize, because there's transferable learning and transferable skills. So when you start taking on a new task or a new hobby, you're able to enter the flow state in that new task or new hobby more efficiently, more effectively in comparison to someone who only has one static. Would you call it dimensional? No, unidimensional?
Just one-dimensional. Yeah, just one-dimensional
flow state.
Whereas you want to develop n-dimensional flow state, which is like any number of Okay, so what you just said is really important with that transferable learning too, is that by getting it across different things and across different modalities, and not just cognitive, but the physical aspect as well, the more you do that, you're increasing the complexity, you're remodeling your brain, so to speak. So it actually, and you mentioned the transfer learning, so it actually makes it easier to start learning other things. And then you get into the flow state in that, which levels up your ability, which then makes it easier and improves your ability to learn and take on new challenges. So it's like this steamrolling effect that we can really build what I would call momentum in life, right? And it makes it easier to understand things, learn things, and develop, right? Like you can utilize this to build this huge momentum. It means that things that you previously would have thought were impossible for you to learn are no longer impossible. Skills that you could never imagine developing are now possible. It improves your ability to learn and develop skills and derive enjoyment and satisfaction from things. I think it is so important. And you mentioned it, it's hobbies and passions, guy. That's exactly what it is. You've got to have this through your hobbies and passions. Learn to cultivate the flow state with things that you love. But most importantly, make sure that those things that you love you back. That's a mad important thing. So don't just like trick yourself into doing stuff that you love that doesn't love you back, that takes from you, right? Learn to love things that give back to you. And that's a powerful thing. Is it like if you get into a flow state doing something, that's a form of loving you back. That flow state is a form of loving you back. It's helping your brain to rewire, remodel, and to develop. And it increases your ability to handle adversity, handle challenge, handle uncertainty, the unknown, right? And learn, grow, and develop on top of it. It's fucking cool shit.
I got a weird variation of flow state that I achieved when I used to work at Zehrs. It's this grocery store chain in Canada, but it's only in, I think, in like the GTA area and in Ontario.
Is this the people that did the green food or blue food?
Yeah, the blue menu bullshit. Yeah, that's those motherfuckers. Yeah. But like, so it was Loblaws that did the bullshit blue menu thing, and Loblaws owns Zehrs.
Okay.
Yeah. And I used to be a bag boy, so I used to bag groceries. And as a bag boy, you also have to do carts, push carts, like, collect the carts from outside that people leave in the, I don't know, the cart area things. Actually, that was a good workout, pushing carts, especially in the wintertime when there's mad snow and you have to push mad carts through the snow. But I remember getting into a flow state, bagging groceries, but I hated it. It was fucking hurting. Like, it just... I was there for 5 years, working part-time through high school and shit. And I remember I would just get in the flow state, bagging groceries. Like, I'd be bagging them like really well, but I'd be hating every fucking second of it. But I would, forget to even talk to the customer or forget what the fuck I was doing or going on. Just boom, 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 in the cart, another fucking bag in the cart. You just do that for 3 hours, 4 hours straight sometimes. And you just get into the flow state and something you really don't like. It's strange. Well, it's a strange variation of flow state.
Yeah, but when you're in the flow state, are you hating it or you just lost doing the bagging?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess like you forget that you hate it for a moment.
Correct. There. That's the beauty of the flow, is that you are lost in just that activity. You're lost in the doing of whatever it is you're doing. When you said that, it made me think too, like I used to push trolleys when I was a kid as well. Trolley collector or a trolley pusher is what they used to call it here. But it made me remember a bunch of times when I used to get in flow state too. Like my parents and my dad had restaurants and hotels and that kind of stuff when I was growing up. And so I'd always get roped into like washing the dishes because the dishwasher wouldn't turn up or, like whatever. And I used to hate it. Like, I hated washing dishes. But like every now and then, you'd have like the perfect setup where like the dishes were coming in like a really good order, like that it was organized sufficiently so you didn't really have to think too much about that. You could boom, boom, boom. And then and I used to love that. I used to love getting into that state, right? But it's something about like mastery of just like a mundane task, but like doing it well, like there's something about flow state and like, again, like pushing the limits of what can be achieved. It's the same with bagging, bro. Like I never worked as a bagger, but I've had to bag lots of shopping at times. And there's something incredibly satisfying about like just nailing that shit. You know what I mean? Like really bagging shit, like boom, 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 and then like having it all set up. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? You're absolutely right, dude. There is something badass about it, isn't there? That's fucking hilarious.
Mundane shit. I've had this when I was younger. I helped I was a brickies laborer. Like bricklayers.
Bro, you laid bricks?
Yeah, for one period of holidays, right? I went and did work with a bricklayer when I was really young.
Fuck. That's hard work, bro. That's hard work.
But I got into flow state doing that. right? So how do you pass bricks, right? So you got to put two bricks together and you can pass them and they sort of stay together. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I sort of sucked to start. And I was like, I got this, right? And then I was like, fuck, I wonder if I could do 3. Oh shit, I can do 3 and 4. And then the guy who I was doing it with, he was pretty good. So he could do the 4. So then we started doing 4s. Boom, boom. And then it was twice as quick to unload a pallet of bricks because we were doing 4 instead of 2, right? And so then we just get into this flow state, moving these bricks, bro. And I just remember like, so it's possible with all of these things, as long as you have a sufficient challenge, right? And you have to, push your abilities to sort of meet that challenge, and you can like keep that for a specific period. You can get lost in that. You can get flow state. It's fucking cool shit. It's got me amped up.
Yo, same. That is dope. I can't believe it. Now I'm kind of thinking that if you have a job that you really don't like doing, but you have to do it anyways, just try and work hard to get into that flow state. Like make it flow. About the flow state. So time goes by faster. You might as well, if you're there anyways. If you're laying bricks, for example, do the 4. And if you can't, make it happen.
But so this is the thing. If you are doing something that you don't like, you don't enjoy, you find mundane, anything else, find flow in that thing. And by finding flow in that thing, okay, right, or whatever you can get flow in, find flow, like seek flow, try to get the flow. By doing that, you're increasing this, like you're remodeling that brain. It's going to lead you on to bigger and better things. Like by getting the flow, it opens the door for you to ascend or transcend where you currently are. Get flow.
Yo, fucking right, dude. Fucking right. Rubes, that's an hour. Do you want to stop there and do the how-to thing?
Yeah, I think we do that.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
But, okay, so just one last thing to finish. Seek flow. Try it. If you have not experienced it, let us know. Write a comment, whatever. Get in touch. We can help you try and find it. But like, you have to experience it. And if you have experienced it, share your experience with flow state. If it's a weird, unconventional or strange thing, let us know. Write, comment, etc. And if you haven't, reach out so we can try and help you get that flow state. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Polska, that was a good ep. Anything you want to say to close out?
Yeah, so people know what I'm talking about. We're going to do a how-to video on some AI shit. We're trying something a little bit different, so stay tuned for that. We should have a video coming out soon, and let us know. Watch it, let us know what you think. You're feeling it or not feeling it. And keep hitting that subscribe button to let us know we're fucking idiots, because that's the only way we'll be certain.
We know. Yeah, that's right. That's the only way to know. All right, guy. Peace, love.
All right, love you, bro.
Have a good night.
Peace.